Imagine opening your front door tomorrow and finding another kind of human standing outside. Not an alien, not a monkey, a real human. Someone who laughs, hunts, and protects their family, just like us, but belongs to a completely different human species. It sounds impossible, but for almost all of human history, this was reality. Around 50,000 years ago, Earth wasn't home to just Homo sapiens. It was shared by several different kinds of humans. Some were stronger than us. Some survived for nearly 2 million years. One evolved to live on a tiny island, while another left behind almost no fossils, but still lives on inside our DNA. Yet today, every one of them is gone. Only Homo sapiens remain. And here's the part that makes this story so fascinating. We weren't the strongest. We didn't have the biggest brains. We weren't even the oldest human species. So why are we the last ones alive? Was it intelligence? Climate change? Disease? Pure luck? Or did our ancestors unknowingly change the fate of every human species forever? The answer isn't simple, because this wasn't one battle or one disaster. It was a story that unfolded over hundreds of thousands of years, filled with survival, adaptation, coincidence, and choices that still affect us today. To understand why every other human disappeared, we have to begin with the greatest survivor our family has ever known. Homo erectus. Nearly 2 million years ago, when much of the world was wild and unforgiving, Homo erectus appeared in Africa. They looked surprisingly familiar. Long legs, shorter arms, bodies built for walking and running across vast open landscapes. For the first time, a human species wasn't limited to one region. They became explorers. Generation after generation, they slowly spread beyond Africa into Asia, crossing environments no human had ever experienced before. Imagine traveling thousands of kilometers. Without maps, without roads, without cities. Every step brought unknown animals, unfamiliar weather, and new dangers. Yet Homo erectus kept moving forward. Their brains were smaller than ours, but they were clever enough to make reliable stone tools that remained almost unchanged for hundreds of thousands of years. That might sound like a lack of innovation, but in reality, it means those tools worked incredibly well. When something helps you survive generation after generation, nature gives you very little reason to replace it. For nearly 2 million years, Homo erectus survived droughts, predators, changing forests, and dramatic climate shifts. Think about that for a moment. Everything modern humans have ever built, every kingdom, every language, every invention, every city, fits into only a tiny fraction of the time Homo erectus walked this planet. They weren't just survivors. They were one of evolution's greatest success stories. But even the greatest stories eventually reach their final chapter. As thousands of years passed, forests began shrinking. The animals they hunted became harder to find. Some populations became trapped on islands like Java in present-day Indonesia. With fewer resources and fewer neighboring groups to support them, their numbers slowly declined. There was no giant battle, no single catastrophe, just a slow struggle against a changing world. Around 110,000 years ago, after surviving longer than any other human species, Homo erectus quietly disappeared forever. You might think that was the end of our story. It wasn't, because while Homo erectus was fading away, another extraordinary human species was already dominating Europe. A species built like heavyweight athletes. A species that stared down Ice Age winters most modern humans could never survive. And despite what movies once claimed, they were anything but stupid. They were the Neanderthals. For decades, Neanderthals were portrayed as clumsy cavemen. Modern science tells a completely different story. Their bodies were incredibly powerful. Wide chests, thick bones, massive muscles. Every feature helped them survive freezing temperatures where food was scarce and danger waited around every corner. They hunted giant animals at close range using carefully crafted wooden spears. It was one of the most dangerous lifestyles any human species has ever lived. Scientists discovered that many Neanderthal skeletons contain broken bones, similar to injuries seen in modern rodeo riders. Every successful hunt came with enormous risk, but Neanderthals weren't just hunters. Evidence suggests they controlled fire, created advanced stone tools, cared for injured family members, and may even have buried their dead with respect. Their average brain size was actually slightly larger than that of modern humans, which raises an uncomfortable question. If Neanderthals were so intelligent, intelligent, so physically powerful, and so well adapted to their environment. Then why did they disappear while we survived? The answer begins around 45,000 years ago, when two different human species finally came face to face, Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. What happened after that meeting changed human history forever, and the truth is far more surprising than most people imagine. For thousands of years, Homo sapiens and Neanderthals lived in many of the same regions. They hunted the same animals, searched for the same food, and survived the same harsh winters. But they weren't just neighbors. DNA has revealed something extraordinary. The two species actually had children together. Even today, if your ancestors came from Europe or Asia, you probably carry about 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA. In a way, Neanderthals never completely disappeared. They still live on inside millions of people. So if they became part of us, why did they vanish as a separate species? Scientists believe there wasn't one single reason. Instead, several problems struck at the same time. The climate changed again and again. Forests became grasslands. Animals migrated. Food became less predictable. At the same time, Homo sapiens lived in larger, better connected communities. Ideas traveled farther. A new hunting technique discovered hundreds of kilometers away could spread from one group to another. People exchanged tools, knowledge, and resources across long distances. Neanderthal groups, however, were usually much smaller and more isolated. When one group lost food, there were fewer people to help. When numbers became too low, finding healthy mates became harder. Their DNA shows surprisingly little genetic diversity, suggesting their populations had already been shrinking long before they disappeared. Some researchers also think diseases carried between different human groups may have added even more pressure, although the evidence is still uncertain. None of these problems alone would have destroyed Neanderthals, but together they slowly became impossible to overcome. By around 40,000 years ago, Neanderthals disappeared from the fossil record, not because they were weak, but because even strong species can lose when enough challenges arrive at the same time. Yet the biggest surprise in human evolution was still waiting. In 2008, scientists studying a tiny finger bone from a cave in Siberia expected it to belong to either a Neanderthal or a modern human. Instead, the DNA belonged to a human species no one had ever discovered before. They named them Denisovans. What's amazing is that we still don't know exactly what they looked like. Only a few bones and teeth have ever been found. But their DNA tells an incredible story. Today, millions of people across Asia and Oceania still carry Denisovan genes. One of those genes, called EPAS1, helps many Tibetans survive at extremely high altitudes where most people's bodies struggle to get enough oxygen. Think about how incredible that is. A human species that almost vanished without leaving a complete skeleton is still helping people survive today. But like the Neanderthals, Denisovans also disappeared around 30,000 years ago. Then came one of the strangest discoveries ever made. In 2003, archaeologists uncovered tiny human bones on the Indonesian island of Flores. The adults stood only about 1 meter, or 3 feet, tall. At first, many scientists thought the skeleton belonged to a sick modern human. But after years of research, the evidence became clear. This was another completely different human species, Homo floresiensis, nicknamed the Hobbit. Despite having a brain only about the size of a grapefruit, they built stone tools and survived on an island filled with giant storks, Komodo dragons, and dwarf elephants. Their story proved something scientists had long suspected. Evolution doesn't create one perfect human. It creates different solutions for different environments. Sadly, around the same time modern humans reached the region, Homo floresiensis also disappeared. Whether climate change, competition, disease, or simple bad luck caused their extinction, no one knows for certain. And that's an important lesson. Science doesn't always have every answer. Sometimes the evidence simply disappears with time. So, after meeting Homo erectus, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and Homo floresiensis, we're left with one final question. Why are we the only human species left? The obvious answer is intelligence, but that explanation doesn't fully work. Neanderthals were intelligent. Denisovans adapted to extreme environments. Homo erectus survived for nearly 2 million years. Each species had remarkable strengths. What may have truly separated Homo sapiens was our ability to build large social networks. Knowledge spread faster. Ideas survived even when people died. Communities helped one another during disasters. Language became more powerful. Stories preserved information for future generations. Instead of each group solving problems alone, entire networks learned together. That advantage grew larger with every generation. But even that isn't the whole story. Luck mattered. Geography mattered. Timing mattered. If climate had changed a little differently, if populations had been larger, or if a few key events had unfolded another way, history might have looked completely different. In another version of Earth, a Neanderthal could have been standing where you are today, wondering why Homo sapiens disappeared. The other human species were never failures. They were successful in their own worlds. Homo erectus became history's longest-lasting human species. Neanderthals mastered one of Earth's harshest climates. Denisovans left genetic gifts that still help living people. Homo floresiensis proved that evolution can take astonishing paths. For most of human history, we were just one branch of a much larger family tree. Today, we're the last surviving branch. The next time you look into a mirror, remember this. You're not just looking at a modern human. You're looking at the final survivor of an ancient family that once spread across continents, survived ice ages, crossed impossible landscapes, and adapted to worlds we can barely imagine. The greatest mystery isn't that they disappeared. The greatest mystery is why we were the ones who remained.